Hello and welcome back to another video in this tutorial series on using Photoshop CC. My name is Justin and our task has been to make a self-portrait using Photoshop, okay? Now, when I say self-portrait, I do not mean just taking a portrait of yourself, okay, and just bringing it into Photoshop, making it black and white or adding a photo filter and calling it good. We've gone over a ton of tools and techniques at this point, and so we can be extremely expressive in our self-portraits, okay? So if you do use an image of yourself, make sure that you're just using it either as a reference to kind of build around, okay, or that you're just using, you know, it's heavily edited, okay? So in this case, you can see I do have my eyes sticking out right here and kind of the shape of my head, a little bit of shape of my face, just to kind of be suggestive of me being inside here behind this owl, okay? Now, so be really creative with these. We've gone over a ton of tools, so you got a lot of opportunity to do some fun stuff. So, let's talk about some of the techniques that I used in this piece that we have not gone over yet in previous videos. Now, the first one that I want to talk about is clipping masks, okay? So let's go to right here and let's talk about clipping masks. I'm going to go ahead and shut off my fern for now, and I'm going to go ahead and increase the size of it just a little bit. Not too much, but just like so. Okay. Now, I'm going to create a clipping mask with this flower and this Metatron's cube here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and move the flower up to the very top, okay? And we'll have this symbol here below it, okay? Like so. Okay, and I'm going to have a black background on. Now, I'm going to select this top layer here, the Trillium here, right-click, and hit Create Clipping Mask. Okay. Now, you can also actually hover in between the layers and hold down Option or Alt and see how the cursor changes to that little square with the arrow. You can also just click in between and create clipping masks, okay? But in this case, I just right-clicked. Okay, so we have a clipping mask. What's going on here? Well, the Trillium flower is only visible where it's overlaying the pixels from the image below, okay? And anywhere where there's transparency in the image below, there's also transparency on the Trillium, okay? As you can see when I shut off the background there, you can see what's really going on here, okay? Now, if I turn on the background layer and then select the flower here, the Trillium on top, see how I can move the flower around below? Yeah, okay. So this is one of the techniques that I used, okay? Now, because all that's happening is that everything is transparent except for where there is color below. It doesn't matter what color either, okay? We just need to paint some pixels in here. So I'm going to select my geometry piece here. I'm going to come over here to my paintbrush, and I'm going to select, let's see, all the way up here at the top. I've got a lot of brushes installed, but just by default, you do have these ones right here. And I'm just going to select one of these kind of scattered spray paint ones here and increase my brush size. To increase your brush size, just hit left and right square bracket, or you can come up here actually and select your brush options here and change the brush size up here. Or in my case, I often, because I'm using a tablet, just select to increase my brush size on my tablet. Okay, so I have this kind of scattered paint here brush. I've got the geometry layer selected below the flower, and if I just click around, you see how I'm kind of painting areas back in? Okay. And that's one of the techniques that I use. See, I can really draw areas back in like that. And that's one of the techniques that I used on this piece. You can actually see that same geometry piece in here, okay? And I'll break this down a little more for you, but that's one of the techniques I use, and that's using clipping masks, okay? Yeah, they're absolutely great. There's a ton of stuff you can do with them. Now, I'm going to go ahead and shut this off. Okay, now I'm going to select my Trillium here and right-click again and release the clipping mask. Okay, so there's our flower again. And I'm going to go ahead and shut off that area that I was just painting on, and I'm going to move this fern on top, okay? Okay, so how did I get this fern shape? Well, I just cut the fern out, okay? So here's a fern. This fern is on a white background, all right? I'm just going to select with my magic wand the white pixels. Oops, make sure it's selected. And just delete the white pixels, okay? And it doesn't matter what you use for objects here. Just doing a quick demo here. Check my tutorials before this one in the series to see how to really accurately cut out objects. Alright, so anyway, I have this fern, and I'm going to go ahead and hit Command U to bring out my hue and saturation, and I'm going to pull that all the way down and just make this black. Okay, and I've made it black, and I've got this fern. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and jump back over here because all I did was just copy that fern and paste it on here. So we just have this black fern shape, okay? Now, there's a few different things you can do with these interesting patterns like this, okay? I can come over here to my magic wand. Okay, I can make sure the fern's selected and select the black pixels here. So now I have this shape that I've selected, okay? Check this out. I can leave that selection. I can come over here and select layer mask. Okay, make sure the layer mask, not the trillium, but the layer mask is selected. Make sure that your magic wand is still selected. You can grab that selection and move it, okay? I can come over here to my brush. I can turn on a black brush by making my foreground color black. And I can actually paint out that area, all right? Now, I'll turn off my black background below so you can see that I'm actually deleting that area, okay? All right, I can actually select the magic wand, grab my selection, move it around, select the brush again, paint that area out, okay? And let's just do that one more time. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and delete my top fern here as we don't need that anymore. Okay, so I've cut out these fern shapes, but I've cut them out of my layer mask, okay? So if I have my layer mask selected, I can actually hit Command-I to invert the layer mask so that all the white is black and all the black is white. And I've got these patterns right here. I've got parts of the trillium cut out in fern patterns, okay? All right, so that's another technique that I used in my self-portrait right here where I've got some fern patterns in here, okay? And we'll get there when I break this down a little more. All right, so that's another technique that I used. Okay. Now, I'm going to go ahead and jump over to this picture of me. Now, this was a picture of me that I actually, let's see, one thing I did, I just had a regular picture of me, and then I really brought out the eyes. And the reason why I brought out the eyes, I really hit the dodge tool and the saturation to bring out my eyes, so that when I overlaid it and desaturated it in here and have photo filters on top, you'd really see my eyes shine through, okay? So I just want to make them really pop ahead of time so that you could kind of really see that there was a person behind this owl here, okay? So, let's see, where? All right, and then I just took that same exact symbol and I did the same exact thing that I just showed you, okay? I just created a clipping mask and then I painted some of the areas in, and then I just merged all the layers together, and of course you just come up here to layer, merge, or if you select multiple layers, like for example, if I select this black layer here, okay, and this top layer, I can hit Command-E and they'll merge together, okay? I'm going to undo that now. So what I did is I just created a piece just like this. I actually used this right here, okay? And I brought this into my self-portrait so that I could have part of myself in the portrait. And you can see that right here, okay? There I am right there. And of course I just used brushes and layer mask and eroded it all over the place, okay, and made sure that there was eyes sticking out right here and a little bit of like eyebrows just to kind of show that there's a face right here, okay? And let's go ahead and break this piece down now. I got a lot of layers here. I'm going to go ahead and shut them all off. Okay, so we'll turn on this one right here. All right, so I have this image of the woods, okay? I wanted to bring in woods into my self-portrait, okay, because I spend a lot of time outdoors. So I wanted this pattern of light right here. I thought that would be nice to bring into my self-portrait. All right, I've got this nautilus shell. I did the same exact thing that I was doing over here with these, let's see, with these images here, just eroding out areas, okay? So the same thing, got a layer mask on here, whoops. And I just kind of took a brush painted on the layer mask and eroded it. I just wanted these kind of Fibonacci spirals from this nautilus shell, okay, kind of bring in some ocean. Thought that'd be good for me. I've got some ice right here. I really just wanted the organic texture of the ice, and I again attacked it with a brush with a layer mask. See if I invert that by hitting Command-I. See how it switches? Okay. Here is another nautilus shell with a layer mask again, and as you can see, I'm using that fern pattern. Okay, it's the same exact fern pattern from right here, okay? That's exactly what I did. Again, I just was, I took a long time and kind of moved them where I wanted to and kind of made this spiral shape that followed the nautilus shell, okay? And then I did it again, okay? Because I really wanted, this area to be filled in, kind of like so I could frame my owl and then eventually my face. Okay, I brought in a vinyl record, and the same thing with the layer mask again, just because music's a big part of me and I collect records, so I thought that'd be nice to add to my self-portrait. Let's see. There's that image of my face, okay, and as you can see, I started with this one, okay, but then I ended up eroding it a lot more. I didn't really want my face in there. I just wanted the eyes and kind of the shape so that kind of be suggestive of me within my self-portrait, and then I just eroded everything else, again, using layer masks. All right, moving on up here. water splashes. Now I cut water out, just like cutting the ferns out or just like cutting the hair out. I had some pictures of some water splashes here, and I'll go ahead and delete everything below or erase everything below for a minute and show you this water splash. Okay, now there's a layer mask on here. If I go ahead and select the layer mask, select a round brush, okay, and make it kind of large. I'll go ahead and well, not that large, paint this back in. So here's a piece of water, right? If I start to paint it in, see, it's just a splash of water right here, okay? All right, now I just cut that out. And how I cut that out was I actually just like I've showed you in other tutorials for cutting out hair or whatever, I just started to cut it out like so, and with a quick selection tool, okay? And of course you just work on it, making adjustments. If you hit Option or Alt, it'll take away areas, and or you can also come up here and just select, you know, plus or minus brush, okay? But Alt and Option will do the same thing. Now, I cut this out. I hit Refined Edge, and I just kind of painted this in just to get some water, okay? And then I used this water. I thought this water would be really cool as owl wings, all right? Like so. Okay, and of course I took a really long time doing this, you guys. Just blowing it up and trying all my different little selection techniques I could come up with to, you know, get some water here. All right, I'm going to go ahead and undo that. Okay, so there's a little piece of water. All right, and let's go ahead and turn on all the layers below it. So where's my water? Right here, I'm going to turn on all the layers below it. And there we go. Okay, so anyway, that's how I cut the water out, and you're going to see a whole bunch more of that water coming up here really soon. Let's bring in the owl. All right, so I just got a regular owl, and again, I just cut it out, okay? Check the previous tutorials if you're not sure how to cut things out. So I just cut out my owl and then kept it a layer mask, all right? Now, I made another group here, all of different layers of water. So if I go ahead and turn on that layer, see how I bring in those wings? Yeah, it's the same exact thing I just showed you. I just kept cutting out bits of water and moving them around and kind of creating wings on my owl, okay? Then I brought in some cedars, all right, because I wanted to bring in some nice cedars. All right, so, and I kind of kept the cedars going in the same pattern, kind of up here in the wings and then down here a little bit, like coming out from the tail feathers or something. And yeah, and again, those cedars are cut out exactly like I've showed you in previous tutorials. Let's see, next thing here. Ah, yes. I added a panhead engine, okay, because I like motorcycles. Okay, and you can kind of barely see it in there. And let's see, if I go ahead and paint it back in a little bit. So let's get the paintbrush going here. You'll be able to see it a little better. Okay, you can see, yeah, just have this panhead engine right in there, all right? And I just kind of want it to be like the shoulders of the owl, okay? So, and again, I'm just painting on the layer mask with a white brush. I'm going to go ahead and undo that. All right, so you can barely see it in there, but that's okay. It's my self-portrait, and I know there's a panhead in there, all right? All right, so moving on up here. Let's see, crescent moon. So I brought in a crescent moon here, and I wanted the crescent moon to kind of be a crown on my owl, okay? And actually got a lot of owls that live around my house. I really like owls, and I get to see them a lot, so I thought that'd be good to bring into my self-portrait. So an owl gets a crescent moon crown because. And then I put two more on each side here, little ones. I don't know if you can see those when I turn them on or off, because owls kind of have these feathers that come around on the sides like that. And as I'm really losing the body of the owl, you can't really see any feathers anymore. I wanted to put some shapes in to kind of just be suggestive of still that owl, okay? So I brought in some more crescent moons there. All right. Let's see. Photo filter. Let's see the photo filter. It's a blue photo filter, okay? There, that made it nice and blue, okay? And that kind of makes that water look icy or something like that. And it's kind of a nighttime shot. Owls are nighttime creatures. Okay, so the sparkles. Let's talk a little bit about the sparkles, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and, well, I'll shut off every layer for now. Okay, except for the background layer here. All right, I'm going to go ahead and create another layer. So now I have a background layer that's black and then this other layer. And let me show you some different ways to make sparkles. Now, you can get brushes that'll make great sparkles, no problem. Another thing you can do is just select white foreground, select your brush. I'll make, it doesn't matter, let's see, make a hard edge since we're only going to reduce this down to, maybe 3 pixels, okay, just to give you an example. Now, I'm going to click, hold down Shift, and draw, and if you hold down Shift, you make a straight line, okay, and I'll go up and down a couple times and just make a nice white line. Okay? All right. Now I'm going to go ahead and select my move tool here, turn on transform controls, okay, and I'm going to hit Command J to duplicate that layer. Okay, I'm going to come over here and see if when I hover my move tool around my transform controls, I can actually rotate. All right, and I'm going to rotate this, and if I hold down Shift, it'll kind of snap into the position that I want it. Okay, I'm going to hit Command J again, and I'm going to rotate again. All right, hit Enter, and then I'm going to hit Command J. All right, and I'm going to do that again. All right, so I've made this little star shape here, okay? And there's so many different ways to do this in Photoshop, okay? And really, you'll probably just get some brushes and just start doing it like that. But this is a real quick, easy way to make some sparkles. I've selected these layers right here, each one of these lines, and I'm going to go ahead and hit Command E to merge those layers, okay? Now they're one layer, all right? I'm going to go ahead and, let's just be destructive here, and I'll hit my eraser brush, okay? And set the eraser to be round and soft, like so. And I'm going to kind of come in here and delete a little bit on the sides like that, okay? All right, just like that. Easy enough. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select my paintbrush and increase the size up to, let's see here. About like this. Okay, and then again, make sure that it's a very, very soft brush, okay? So there's lots of feathering going on. And I'm just going to tap in here, like so. Okay, and that's a way to make some sparkles. And you can kind of come down a little lower and make the center a little brighter if you want to. In my case, because I was kind of working with that blue, I kind of brought in a blue, all right? Like so, and just like that, okay? And that's really what I did right there to make these sparkles, okay? So let's go ahead and shut that off. Let's turn on all these layers again. Okay, and we'll turn on the sparkles. And so what I did is I went around with the brush, and actually I knew I was going to make those sparkles, so I made a soft white brush and just tapped a few spots in here where I thought there would be highlights, okay? And then, let's see, I just did that a few times, and then I just made one of those stars and then just duplicated it all over the place, okay? And it's kind of hard to see. If we blow it way up, you can see that I just have these little, there you go, those little sparkles coming off like the owl horn right there or something like that, okay? Yeah. Okay, so that is about wraps up this piece, except for I just added this kind of sloppy vignette around there. I just actually used a brush and with a dark brush with a soft edge and just painted around it just to darken up some of the areas, and then I'm creating this little vignette, and you can see how it kind of frames it a little more. Okay, that about wraps it up. Here is my self-portrait. Okay, I've got my owl and my motorcycle and my vinyl records, and got this Metatron cube, and I've got some ocean imagery and some forest imagery, okay? And that's all things that are important to me, and so this is my self-portrait. Again, you don't have to use any of these eroding techniques. It's just part of my style. I make a lot of stuff like this. It's just what I do. You get to do whatever you want in your own self-portrait, but if you go over all the videos so far in the multiple playlists that I have on using Photoshop CC, you will be able to use all these same tools that I used in this to make your own piece. So, yeah, have fun and be creative.